When drawing for a painting, why not just use a grid or a projector? So there's these different methods for drawing. You can lay out a grid, and then on the reference you can have that same grid, and that way you can just kind of match it up and draw the lines. Without really, you can freehand it, but it's technically not freehanding because you're just copying from a grid. It's a lot easier to line up square by square. Or you could just use a projector, project the image on the wall or on a canvas and draw it on there. So why not just do that instead of freehanding it? That's a good point. For myself, I don't try to use any kind of tool or crutch like that when it comes to drawing. And the reason for me, it's just a personal preference thing. I mean, most people, you can use a grid or you can trace, you can do whatever for a painting. I know a lot of people just want to get to the painting stage and really focus on the painting rather than the actual drawing or the bones underneath the painting. So I understand that, but from my point of view, painting is drawing. When you're doing a painting, the entire time you have to worry about the drawing because you're pushing paint back and forth. You know, you're putting the lights down kind of over a bit, then you push it back with the darks. And you're always, especially with a portrait, I mean, when you do like the outline of the eye, you paint that in, then you paint the eyelid on top of that, you know, you're always slightly moving these lines and it's not going to be perfect. So you have to really be aware of the drawing. You have to have a good sense of drawing for something to look realistic in the end. So for me personally, I don't like to use these grids and projectors or anything like that because I want to strengthen my drawing capabilities, my skills, my abilities. So that's what my main focus is when I go to draw something. You know, I like to put a lot of work into the drawing before the painting because it really helps me become more, I don't know the right word, you know, more intimate or understand more of the drawing. When you get to the painting stage, you're very familiar, that's the word I'm looking for. You know, you're more familiar with the drawing and everything and your subject if you spend all that time really getting the drawing down, the proportions and fixing things. And you know, I've done these portrait studies and stuff recently in my sketchbook, oil painting studies, and some of the drawings beforehand, before I even got to the painting stage, some of the drawings took me, you know, 3 to 5 hours to really get the proportions correct of the face. Even after doing that, you know, I go and work on the painting for a day or two, and then I realize that some proportion is off. So there's still something I'm missing. I'm not really focusing enough, or something in the painting stage, I move the drawing a little bit too much. So it's always a work in progress, but for me, it's like I'm trying to build my skills. So like when people say, why don't you just use this tool? Why don't you just trace? Why don't you use a projector? Why don't you use a grid? Well, that's not really furthering my skills and what I'm trying to learn. And for me, I'm trying to get to a really high level of skill. So it's just not in my interest to use a grid or any kind of, you know, tool or compass for circles or anything. You know, I'm trying to do everything freehand and go that way. But I know there's some artists out there that will use a grid on the canvas, and that's fine. It's not like a big deal to me. You know, if I was doing a commission or something and I had to get it done quickly and I wanted it to look accurate and have a likeness, I may put down a grid or some form of a grid, maybe a larger grid, some kind of guidelines, and match it up with the reference, just so that I know for sure that I have the eyes on the right spot, the nose corresponding with that. So that may be something I would do in a certain case, but really for my work overall, I'm just trying to build my skills. So I hope that answers the question out there. And just know that for anybody else out there, for yourself, you know, determine your goals and what you want to build with your skills. Is drawing something you're interested in? Do you care if you really reach a high level of drawing? You know, I really recommend trying to do that over time and just really focusing on that, because it's going to improve your painting. It'll improve your values and stuff when you get into the shading and stuff, if you're really into that. But definitely when you get into drawing and try to render realistically and draw things realistically from life, it's only going to help your painting, because painting is drawing. It's just drawing with color and with brushes rather than, you know, a dry graphite pencil or something. So anyway, hope you enjoyed this answer. Take care of yourself.